Welcome back to Where Rovers Walk. It's episode 21, and on this week we're giving Danny Batth some appreciation. He's been immense for Rovers. Big shout outs to him. Rovers fans are worried because the season usually turns sour after Christmas, and with the Millwall result there, people are worried. We'll get Tom's view on that and who's finishing top and bottom of this crazy, crazy league. Tom is with us. We've got our whole team out doing the final bit Christmas shopping. So shout outs to Harry, to Jason, and to Mark. Tommy's going solo this week, so good luck to you, fella. And they've left you right in the lurch here because they've taken all the victories and left you to talk about a loss.
I know.
How was the Millwall game?
Do you know what? It was a tough game. I mean, I give credit to Millwall. It was always going to be difficult for Blackburn to try and get a seventh win in a row. And Millwall have been on a bit of a shocking run in their own right, and I think that was a recipe for disaster really for Blackburn coming in the form team, playing a struggling side in Millwall. And I know at the start of the season they did really well, and they were kind of flying, and they were in the kind of top six. But I was pleasantly surprised with their efforts. They're a dogged team. They got some tricky players there, and I think it was a really tough game. I think it would have been a fair result for a draw, and it was a bit of a sickener that it was a 97th minute winner. I think we were on our knees a little bit at that point because Travis had gone off injured. So we were down to 10 men for the last kind of 15 minutes of the game. And Harry Pickering had also gone off injured as well, which turns out that both of those injuries now are quite long term, I think. So I think it's not all doom and gloom. Blackburn did play well in parts and we created chances. But again, we didn't really do too much in front of goal to really pose much of a threat to their goalkeeper. But lots of positives. We're still fifth. And I think Millwall, though, were quite a tough team. Probably deserved to win it, but I think a draw would have been a fair result.
Danny Batth was coming out with lots of praise, Tom, even despite the result. Chris said this, on the bright side, Danny Batth was man of the match by an absolute mile today. He was excellent. It's a shame we couldn't hang on for the clean sheet because he would have earned it for his efforts alone. He's been a smart signing, hasn't he? So let's throw that question back to you. Has he been a smart signing?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago we were discussing which players we should renew the contracts for next season, and I was on the fence for Danny Batth, to be honest. But since he's come in and he's kind of filled that gap that Scott Wharton left when he got injured, he's been a revelation. And many might say he's a bit of a journeyman, but I've got quite a few mates who support other teams in the league who he's played for, and they always say, he turns on a good shift every game. Considering sometimes Blackburn over the past few years we've had a very inexperienced young squad, but getting the players in like a Vyman and like a Danny Batth to come in and just be that role model for the younger ones, I think is invaluable. And him and Heim have got a really good partnership, and he's a rock at the back. And I think with our back four of Pickering or Beck, and then Callum Britton or JRC, and then Hyman and Danny Batth with pairs, I think they've been brilliant. And I think Danny Batth, I would definitely give him a new contract next season just for another year.
Absolutely brilliant. Sunderland up next. Before we do that, let's have a chat about some other tweets. Adam says it was a tough one to take in the end. A point would have been a good result based on how we played. One thing is for sure, though, in January, we have to address the lack of pace throughout the Blackburn side. It would make us so much more dangerous on the transition away from home in games like this. Do you agree with that? That's one thing that you are lacking. I mean, Cantwell, for as good as he's been for you, I thought. I mean, he was pretty much in the pocket of Leonard the whole game.
No, I think I agree. I mean, like, it's a bit of a cliche, but pace wins matches. Defenders hate to have attackers run at them, and I think we haven't really got many players aside from Tyrese Dolan who are willing to run at the fullbacks. I think in January, it's going to cause a few mixed opinions with the Rovers fans. But for me, someone like Dylan Markande, who we've already got in our ranks, who we've loaned out to League Two, when he first came in from Tottenham, I thought this lad's a really good player. And under Eustace, he'd had more freedom, I think, than he'd had before when he was under JDT. He got quite stifled. I didn't get a lot of game time. I think he's ripping it up at Chesterfield in League Two. I know it's a bit of a jump, but he's quick. And I think with him and Dolan there, because up front, Ohashi is really quick as well, but the service isn't always there for him. So I think if we can get a few more players in, because Hedges, for all his ability, and I do like him, He's not the quickest player in the world, and I think that pace kills. But with Cozier Dewsbury as well, I think he's also another player who's really quick, and he's only 19. Another loanee we've got in, who I think is really good. But I'm not really too concerned if we don't do too much in January. I think the squad we've got at the moment is very good, although we have just got those 2 nasty injuries to Travis and to Pickering. So something's got to change. And also, we can't really score goals of our strikers. I mean, Hashi hasn't scored since September, and Gay's only scored 1 all season. So something's got to change somewhere.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about one tweet in particular that is a typical Rovers worry. Adam at the bottom here says, it was a deserved loss. We were really poor today. The run was always going to end, but now concerned about the injuries. It's this time of the year where we usually screw up our season. So it's a big test for the staff and players to go again. And we saw this. I saw that similar kind of tweet.
Yeah.
Across forums as well, saying, yeah, this is it. Blackburn do well up to Christmas and then everything falls apart. What is it about Rovers and this time of the year where everything just turns?
Do you know what, Mark? I really don't know. I mean, it's a bit of a running joke and with my wife and I, because I'll always say, I think this is the year we're going to do it. And she says to me, you always say this, because you quickly forget. But then, like three years ago, I think we were third this time of the year, and 2 seasons ago, I think we were fifth, and we were flying. I don't know what it is. We tend to get a few killer injuries, and the key men who are scoring the goals, be it Smodic or Brereton Diaz or Bradley Dack, whoever it is, the goals tend to dry up a little bit. That being said, with a few injuries, I mean, when Adam Armstrong was ripping it up for us, and then he had a massive goal drought and didn't score for a few weeks, and then I think a couple of years ago we didn't win until about March in the new year. So something happened. Maybe it's a psychological thing. I don't know. I think this season I have seen it on Twitter quite a bit, and I kind of feel it as well. Something does feel a bit different this year. I've said this before, I don't know what's going to happen, but if we can kind of get through this December run, we've still got Burnley, we've still got Leeds, we've still got Sunderland to play before the next 2 weeks. So who knows what will happen, but let's be positive.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. Before we let you go, this week we're asking who's the best and worst team you've played against. Now, weirdly, Blackburn have come up in a couple of other podcasts that we've done from teams, namely Coventry. I think Coventry said Blackburn were the worst side that they played against. There was somebody else as well that said, I can't remember who it was now, but yeah, which is bizarre given your position in the league. But who's the worst side that you've come up against that you felt you perhaps would have scored more against if the game had gone on longer?
I think the Bristol City game, we were comfortable throughout. And at my school, there's a lad who I used to teach last year, and he's a Bristol fan. And he gave it a bit. Last year we got battered by them, so it was kind of not nice to kind of give it a bit back to them. We won 3-0. I'm not very comfortable. I want to throw you a bit of a curveball here though, because even though we lost to Stoke, I thought Stoke were bang average. And if it wasn't for their goalkeeper, and we had a massive off there in front of goal, we would have been, I think, comfortable winners in that game. So I think Stoke aren't great, and the league position would suggest that. Bristol were pretty poor. Derby on the opening game, not great. But yeah, I think overall, probably at the time when we played them, Bristol City were pretty rubbish.
Okay. On the flip side, when we asked Leeds who's the best team you played against this season, they said you guys. So let's ask you guys, who's the best team you've come up against that have out-footballed you, out-Eustace you?
There's been a couple of teams I've looked at and I thought, I can see why they are where they're in the league. Sheffield United are a good side, and they won 2-0. It was quite a comfortable win on their part. The weekend's game against Millwall, to be fair, we've lost a few games this year, and I've come away thinking, we didn't deserve to lose that by that scoreline. But Millwall were a good side. I have to say, I was quite impressed with how they attacked, and with they got quick, pacey wingers, and they're quite direct. So they were a good side. And again, Coventry, I don't know what happened on that day for Rovers. They made us look really, really ordinary. And we lost 3-0, got battered there. So, Coventry as well.
Right, brilliant. Thank you very much, Tom. We want to say a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed and pressed a like or done a comment on our videos. We've really enjoyed making them with you. We'll be back next week, of course, to preview the big one. It's Burnley coming to town, so join the team back with us next week for that. Tom, have a wonderful Christmas, you and your family. I hope you're having a quiet one, or you're having all the family round.
Yeah, we're going out for a meal. There's about 15 of us going out for lunch.
Brilliant. Okay. Enjoy that. Hope Santa comes, and we'll see you guys in 7 days' time to preview Burnley. Thank you very much for joining us.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
See you.